Good day, everyone. My name is Rene Carstens. I am a principal legal practitioner in the civil unit of the Cape Town Local Office of Legal Aid. Today, I am going to discuss marriage regime mean for your will or the management of your estate. In this discussion, I will also specifically deal with the aspects of women in religious partnerships. Now, death is never an easy to talk about topic, and therefore it's not a topic that is engaged within a relationship. It joins a long list of often not talked about issues by women in relationships because of where women are positioned. Women can find that their positionality because of race, culture, custom, religion, and belief influences their ability to make decisions for themselves or to negotiate those positions in relationships. These factors all play a critical role when we examine how women engage with decisions about financial management, acquiring property, marital property regimes, and cohabitation agreements. We find that women are less able to negotiate and make decisions about their interests in relationships. Our laws currently don't take this vulnerability into account for many women. Today, I'm going to look at three vulnerable groups of women in this discussion and how the law has evolved to provide some protection for these groups. The first group I'm going to discuss is women married in terms of Islamic law. As these marriages are not yet recognized in South Africa, these women do not have any protection. In January 2011, the Muslim Marriages Bill was published in the Government Gazette. This bill sets out a draft statutory framework for the legal recognition of Muslim marriages and their consequences. But due to divergence of views, it is still subject to intense debate in the Muslim community. The South African courts have, however, been progressive by continuously making orders that give effect to some of the obligations arising from Muslim marriages. For example, the Constitutional Court in Daniels v. Campbell, NO, and others declared Section 1 of the Interstate Succession Act and Section 2.1 of the Maintenance of Surviving Spouses Act unconstitutional and invalid because it omitted from its reach a husband or wife married in accordance with Muslim rights in a de facto monogamous union. Before these provisions were declared unconstitutional, a party to a Muslim marriage on the death of her spouse could neither inherit in a spouse's intestate estate or lay claim for reasonable maintenance from such an estate. This is luckily no longer the case. So just to go into what intestate means is that is when the husband do not leave a will. So previously, wives in Muslim marriages was excluded from inheriting, whereas when they married in terms of common law or in terms of the Marriages Act, you will automatically inherit from your husband if you are married in community of property. So at least there has been some evolvement in our law, and the courts are more progressive in their attitude towards these situations. Further inroads were made in the Haneke matter when the Constitutional confirmed that Section 2C1 of the Wills Act was also unconstitutional and invalid, as it failed to recognize the right of a surviving spouse in a polygamous Muslim marriage to the benefits of a deceased husband's will. For purposes of this section, the court said that surviving spouse includes every husband and wife of a monogamous and polygamous Muslim marriage, solemnized under the religion of Islam. This section, however, only deals with the entitlement of a surviving spouse to the benefit of a will if descendants of the person who has made the will renounce their right to inherit. So it's still very limited for the spouses in the polygamous and monogamous Muslim marriages, but at least there has been some progress and the courts are looking at it, and hopefully the promulgation of the Muslim Marriages Bill will come to the rescue of many Muslim women. The second category of women are those living in domestic partnerships. The Statistics South Africa reports indicate that increasingly couples in South Africa are choosing to cohabitate in some form or another rather than enter a formal marriage. The records also indicate that men are less likely to report or acknowledge living in a domestic partnership for whatever reason. The Department of Home Affairs records indicate that less couples are registering marriages. Although we have seen a number of bills in legislative processes to recognize domestic partnerships, we still do not have laws in place. The court recently again answered the plight of unmarried women in opposite-sex life partnerships when June Bawana succeeded in changing the provisions of the Interstate Succession Act. The Western Cape High Court ruled that the act was unconstitutional in that while it catered for married and same-sex couples, it did not provide for unmarried opposite-sex couples. The court also ruled that certain sections of the Maintenance of Surviving Spouses Act were unconstitutional. This is because the Act excluded life partners in permanent opposite-sex life partnerships from inheriting, as did the Maintenance of Surviving Spouses Act, which specifically defines survivor, spouse, and marriage to exclude these groups. The Women's Legal Center, who acted in the interest of a group or class of people as well as in the public interest in this matter, said that the existing laws had a devastating effect on women and children, and there were many reasons why couples live together without getting married. This is a very important development of South African jurisprudence on the rights of opposite-sex permanent life partners. Women in such relationships are vulnerable and suffer discrimination when the relationship is terminated by death. The judgment will help in advancing the rights of women to equality and dignity, specifically in these type of relationships. The last category of women that I want to flag is those married in terms of custom who have not registered their marriages. Here, the ability to negotiate the registration has been an ongoing source of discrimination for many women in our country, as the Department of Home Affairs continues to log unrealistically low numbers of customary marriages every year. Although registration is not a requirement for the legal recognition of a customary marriage, the Master Office relies on the Department of Home Affairs and the National Marriage Register to assess whether a legal marriage has been entered. It is therefore important for women entering into customary marriages to know that the registration of the marriage is important and that it is not up to the husband alone to do this. Women may also register these marriages at Home Affairs. This will provide for protection in the event of termination of the customary marriage and ensure that these women can also inherit from their husband's estates. Women in these three categories that I've discussed today have unfortunately only realized after the death of their spouses that their rights to inheritance is not automatically recognized. Estate planning and drafting of wills and contracts between parties are absent in most of the cases. Women are either not aware of their rights or are unable to ensure the protection of their rights. It is therefore very important that women are aware of their rights and seek the necessary legal advice to ensure that they know what to do, that they know that they can discuss it with their partners and husbands before it is too late, so that once they die, the spouse died, that they can ensure that they will be looked after and protected, as well as their children. For any further questions or if you need any further advice, you can phone our advice line on 0800 110 110. If you are unable to call, you can send a please call me to 079 835 7179. Legal Aid is also available on all social media platforms, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and it is at Legal Aid SA1. We also have a self-help portal on our website, which is on www.legal-aid.co.za. There you will find a will template that you can download and start drafting your own will. If you need any further advice on that, you can approach our offices during the Wills Week, which is from 26 to 30 October this year. We will participate in that and will assist people with drafting their wills. Wills Week is a very good time to obtain further information and further advice in terms of your marital regime and how you can protect your own assets. So I suggest that you make use of that and approach any of the offices or organizations that will take part in this week. Thank you very much.